We all have mental and physical health. They go both hand in hand. They are connected. But have we as society stigmatized mental health to our detriment? Let's talk about it. You're listening to the podcast Life of Emerald. I'm your host, Kate. We are a spiritual organization empowering millennials and Generation X to stand up to the universal truth grounded in oneness with the creation, based on love, peace, harmony. Be true to yourself. We balance the science and spirituality, modern innovation and ancient wisdom. Shall we normalize mental health in 2022? This is a global movement. Make mental health normal. Our honorable guest today is Paul Sterling. Paul went from being a commercial fisherman in Alaska to a sought-after couples coach, an international public speaker on love and relationships, and is the best-selling author of Argue Less, Love More, which was #1 with both couples and counselors. His video, Tantra Exploring Sacred Sexuality, has been viewed more than 6 million times. He helps couples from around the world communicate better, clear up misunderstandings, resolve ongoing conflicts, and get their needs met so that they can deepen their intimacy and bring back that loving feeling. I'm proud to introduce and interview relationship breakthrough expert Paul. Welcome.
Hi, Kate. I'm honored to be here, and I really think that you really take on really important issues, because you could be super successful in life, but if you don't have mental and emotional health, it doesn't matter. So I love what you're up to.
I agree. Let's get started here, Paul. I'm really interested to hear from your perspective. What is your view on mental health in general?
Well, it's such a huge topic. So I'm going to go for one area that I've noticed, that mental and emotional health tie together. But if our emotions start to fall apart, so does our mental health. And when I'm biased because I am a relationship and intimacy coach. And I notice with people all the time that if their relationship starts to fall apart, their life starts to fall apart. And the other side of this that's really important is your relationship with yourself. So mental and emotional health, in a lot of ways, is based on how we relate and communicate with ourselves. So it's up to you now. We'll go back and forth. I love to see you laugh. Now, there we go. You've just made my day.
The key word here is relationship with yourself. Can you say a little bit more about that and tie it to one personal story pertaining to mental health, which has shaped your life view today? What has helped you?
Yeah, okay. Well, I'm going to give a quote and then I'll do the story. And the quote is, "The quality of my life is based on the quality of my communication. If I transform my communication, I can transform my relationship with anybody, including myself." And so I'll give you a story about myself. I don't really think I've shared this much before, but I grew up, had an older brother who had everything. He had the women, the charisma. He was a race car driver. He was a martial artist. People wanted to be like him. And I always felt like I was Kevin's brother. I wasn't Paul. I was Kevin's brother. And it was really hard on me and my mental health. And all I wanted to be growing up is be like Kevin, or I wanted to be Kevin, because he looked like he had it all and I had nothing. He ended up committing suicide at age 27, because even though on the outside everything looked good, how he communicated with himself on the inside wasn't good. And then many years later, I ended up studying something called nonviolent communication with Marshall Rosenberg. And he taught me about feelings and needs and requests and how precious they really are, because I thought I was broken. I thought me having needs meant something was wrong with me. I'm not strong enough. I'm not independent enough. And what happened with Marshall is, when I took his training, I traveled from, at that point, I was living in Canada, to Sweden. And I was probably in my 40s, late 40s. And the odd thing to say out loud is, after that course, I fell in love with myself.
Hmm.
Which is strange to say, because most of my life, even though my brother had committed suicide, I still wanted to be like my brother. I still thought that he had had the gifted life because so many people loved him and he had so much charisma and it looked like success on the outside. And to me, mental health is success on the inside. So the things that we learn how to communicate with ourselves in those quiet moments, and the practices you talk about and also teach, like meditation and yoga and all these practices that calm ourselves down and help us improve our relationship with ourselves. So did that answer that?
Yeah, that's really poignant. Success comes from inside. And often business world, we focus on success outside, and the example of your brother, he may have been successful inside, but I think it's the story I hear from you is that he has been successful outside.
Mm-hmm.
So the kernel of wisdom here is, how can we cultivate a successful interior where we are speaking kindly to ourselves, right?
And seeing our needs is precious. That can we be gentle with ourselves and can we embrace our needs? Because if you look at it externally, when I see a relationship falling apart is when needs stop getting met and stop being seen as precious. In the beginning of a relationship, we'll almost do anything to meet each other's needs. And then later we take each other so we go from being grateful in the world of gratitude to taking each other for granted. And just so people know what my definition of gratitude is wanting what you have.